satellite data processing tools as part of the GIS and remote sensing for water resource management course. For this lecture, we're going to focus on two things. At the end of the lecture, you should be familiar with the SeaDAS software, which is the SeaWiFS Data Analysis System, SeaDAS, and you should be able to use the Sentinel application platform, Snap. So these two softwares, we will go through them and get you to be confident with their capabilities, and then we'll move on to the practical exercise where you will use the Snap software to do some image processing to derive some parameters for water resources. So let's get started. The lecture is going to be divided into two sessions. So the first session, we're going to look at the SeaDAS software, and we will explore the capabilities and highlight some of the attributes of this particular software. So we're going to start with SeaDAS. SeaDAS, as the name suggests, it's an abbreviation, it's an acronym for SeaWiFS Data Analysis System. It allows for processing, display, analysis, and quality control of remote sensing data, remotely sensed data, and it is part of the processing component of it was developed as part of from the Ocean Biology Processing Group. So all the algorithms developed by this group is utilized within this SeaDAS software. So when you need to calculate or compute the proper characteristics of water bodies, you can use the algorithms have already been developed and are continuously being developed. So they are already programmed into the software so that they can be used. All these algorithms are there to help to characterize and calibrate data and generate science quality products. So this software platform supports over 15 US and international Earth observation missions. So there is a whole range of parameters, a wide range, an extensive range of parameters that can be extracted from these satellite missions using the SeaDAS software. In addition to these, ancillary data, just such as in-situ data collected, can also be utilized within this platform, this SeaDAS platform, so that you can use it to calibrate and validate Earth observation mission data. So when you do observation or you do measurement with remote sensing or sensors, remotely located sensors, we need to also relate those measurements to what is measured on the surface of the planet. So this software allows you to do this kind of calibration and correction so that you see how close you kind of balance what is measured remotely with what is measured directly on the surface of the planet. So that's calibration and validation. We try to make the model, because you have to remember that what is observed from the by the sensors or on a satellite is a model of what is supposed to be on the planet. So in order to bring the model closer to what is the real value, we need to do some validation and calibration. Okay, so that's just a brief overview, but let's get it a little bit closer to the software itself. You can also calibrate or customize, rather. You can customize and develop your own algorithms and apply it to do so many other things. It's not only limited to oceans. You can use the software also to work on land and atmosphere. So and it can also produce true color imagery. So I think in the example coming in the later slides, I will show you some example of true color imagery as processed within the SeaDAS software. So earlier I mentioned that it can utilize ancillary data. One of the platforms in which the ocean biology group use is the SeaDAS format. They have an established format in which they record in situ data for comparative analysis with relevant satellite data. So this data set is available within the SeaDAS archive. So you can draw on to this, and you can also input data into the SeaDAS database or archive by preparing the data, ground measured data, and putting it into the SeaDAS archive. And you can extract also what other people have collected. You can utilize it and integrate it within the SeaDAS software. The software is only available in Linux and Macs, the Apple Mac operating system is not available on Windows, so you have to take note of these. Unless you're using Linux or Mac operating system, you will have to find a way around. If you really want to use this, you will have to make any of these operating system available on your computer. There are extensive video tutorials that you can use that you can learn from on how to use this, and I've provided you with a link of this. So this should help to kind of cement your knowledge about this. So there's also webinars and other useful learning materials. So the software is extensively supported with a lot of learning materials. So picking up new ideas in order to execute what you need to do shouldn't be too difficult, because there's an extensive database of learning materials and support. So let's move on to what are some of the components in addition to what we've mentioned earlier. We have the satellite data coming in, we have the ancillary data, and then we have field data, also additional field data that could come in. And on another side, so this represents one component. This group of satellite data, ancillary data, field data represent the data part of it. And then we have the processing, the analysis, and the visualization. So you can process the data that got inputted into the system. So processing, you are preparing it for analysis. And after the analysis, then you can visualize the output. Then this now leads us to the production of products, or the generation of products. So let's say we generate sea surface temperature. After processing the data, analyzing it, and visualizing it, we can generate a final product which represents the sea surface temperature. Or we can generate imagery. So after processing different layers of different bands of the remotely sensed data, we can create images that can represent certain processes of interest to us. We can also generate statistics, average, standard deviation, temporal trends, plots, and things like that within the SeaDAS, and we can produce these as final results that can be utilized in other products, like generating reports. So we're preparing a report, or we're preparing a research document. So these just represent the three groups: the output, the processing and the manipulation side, and then the data, which is the input. So on your left we have the data, on your right we have the output, and in between we have the data manipulation and analysis component. So if we go on, let's now move on from these to look at some examples. This is Lake Okeechobee in Florida. This is the largest inland freshwater lake in the state of Florida. So let's have a close look at this lake. Yes. So this lake is a freshwater lake. It's the largest in the state of Florida. Got the name from that small town right up there. So as clearly from this we can see that this river or channel drains directly into this. There's some other channels draining into, you can see this, okay, a number of channels, artificial or managed drainage networks empties into this lake, this freshwater lake. So it receives, and on the northern part of the lake, there's quite a number of reception of fresh water from other parts of the state into this river. So it becomes quite interesting and necessary for this lake to be monitored to see, since we know from the previous examination, when we previous presentation, when we looked at Lake Erie, we see that such lakes usually have some incidents of harmful algal bloom. So it becomes very relevant that we study our lakes regularly, especially when they are being used for water abstraction, in which water from them are being used for drinking, providing potable water to households in the surrounding settlements. It becomes very important to study this very carefully. So as you can see, this is a study, an analysis is done within SeaDAS to look at the June 22nd in 2011 to see how cyanobacteria bloom, or their concentration within the water body. And as we can from these, it's quite obvious that on the northern region, along the northern fringes, we can see that the concentration is higher along that region. So clearly, the input from the drainage networks, the rivers and streams, emptying into the lake from the northern region is creating a lot of input of nitrogen and phosphorus, which is driving this. As you can see, the redder the color, the higher the concentration. So these kind of maps can be produced for similar lakes across any part of the world, and they use the MERIS sensors, the MERIS Earth observation data set to produce this. So clearly this is an example. If we look a little bit closer, this is how it is produced, and you can see on one side we can see the true picture, the true color imagery of the lake. This is the lake right there in the middle, and all this white structure are the cloud cover. So this kind of this is just to show you what is possible within the platform, the SeaDAS platform. And then more examples. A whole lot of data set is parameters. For example, from the Ocean Biology Distributed Active Archive Center, we can have access to chlorophyll A, sea surface temperature, all within the SeaDAS. So you can access these parameters directly from the SeaDAS platform. So you don't have to go, first of all, downloading before you bring it in. Before you now input it, you can access it directly from the software once you are connected to the internet, of course. So you can see the distribution of the concentration of near the surface of chlorophyll A. We can see that of sea surface temperature. I'm not particularly sure which coastline is this, but it's just to give you an illustration of what is possible within the software. Looking on to what are the product suites that are available within the Ocean Biology Distributed Active Archive Center. We have the aerosol, so under the ocean color, all these are particularly possible for you to have access to. We have the sea surface temperature as well for different mission, usually at 11 micrometer. And also we have the inherent optical properties. We can have access to that, different parameters, and a whole range of other products. You are going to have to explore what you think is necessary for what you're studying. So for example, this may be interesting for you if you're looking at water quality, while if you're studying yes, this might also be necessary. Water living radiance that are also. So I will enjoy you to look carefully at different parameters and see how they will be useful. It's going to be quite impossible for me to give you each one the clear usefulness of each one of these, but you will have to explore that on your own and find which one is useful for whatever you want to do. So what I've done here is to give you the short form, the shorthand name given within the archive, and the full meaning of each one of them. BB is data backscattering, APH, absorption due to photoplankton, and so on. So these are some of the examples of the products that are available within the Ocean Biology Distributed Active Archive Center. So, and this is available within your the SeaDAS platform. So, fitting it all together, just like we've said before, you can take data from here, the OPDAC, and you can put it directly into the SeaDAS software and do the processing. So, data coming from the satellite is received and processed by the OPDAC, and then it's made available to users within SeaDAS. It doesn't mean that there are no other software that can process such, but it's just to show you what SeaDAS is capable of doing. So within SeaDAS, you can create color palettes, so you can generate different types of coloration for your visualization, depending on this is supposed to be color blind, so excuse me, my spelling there is supposed to be you can create color. There are existing color palettes, but you can create your own palettes to enhance visualization, because it's very important. If you create something, it should be easy for people to understand what you are presenting and put attention where it's supposed to be. You can mask, you can remove area of interest, you can separate highlight area of interest and exclude other. You can import and export shape files. Remember when we were talking about GIS, so shape files becomes useful there. You can put flags and things like of areas that you know that are problematic. You can raise attention, put attention on such. So processing, you can do calculation, reprojection, statistical tools, a whole range of them, file attributes, information tools, data comparison. You can compare data over time to create trend. You can compare with field measurement. You can create image composite, and you can also export to other software. So in order to not let this go for too long, I'm going to stop here and summarize. SeaDAS provides the opportunity for processing, display, analysis, and quality control of remotely sensed data. It is Linux and Mac based, so it's not only Linux based, it's Mac based. So if you have a Mac system, the SeaDAS software can be installed there. It's available to you for free, and it also provides access to ancillary data as well as field data. You can incorporate your field data and you can use existing ancillary data. There's direct access to many parameters and products within the platform, so it's an all-encompassing software which can achieve a lot when it comes to processing remotely sensed data. So this brings us to the end of session 1, and I'll see you in the next session under the satellite processing software.